Hi everybody, welcome to the garage. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux, Pete's here, Gary's here, you're here, and the Court of Public Opinion is in session. I can't remember who made me that, but I had it at, when did I start the Court of Public Opinion? Probably about 1981 or something like that. And this gentleman made this for me with the green baize on the top and the beautiful thing. And I've kept it and treasured it ever since. And who knows, that gentleman might be watching this posting on Facebook even as I speak. So thank you again for it. I don't know if you saw Spotlight on Channel 7. You guys see it?
Not this week, no.
Well, I think Channel 7 has joined up with the ABC. Well, it looks like it anyway, to campaign against Pauline Hanson. On a program, on the weekend, they were trying to dictate to her, in fact, really to her face, just who she should be talking to. Now, I'm talking about the conversation that she had with that Tom Robinson fellow. Tom Robinson, I don't know anything about him. He doesn't seem like a very savoury kind of character. I don't know about his criminal record. I'm assuming that he has no charges pending. He's paid his debt to society. Police aren't knocking on his door. And he has a perfect right to his freedom of speech. I don't know why he attracts so much attention. Pauline has a perfect right to talk to somebody who she might like to do an interview with. What's it all about? Why is it a big deal? I'll tell you what it's about. It's about shutting Pauline Hanson up. Because they're now frightened. Frightened, ladies and gentlemen. 7 Spotlight programme covered Rupert Lowe, head of the Restore Britain party. Now he is a real breath of fresh air. He really is. He's a farmer. He's a member of Parliament. He takes his parliamentary salary and gives it to charity. And he is passionate about the things in which he believes. I was absolutely amazed when Liam Bartlett, the interviewer, pulled Rupert Lowe up for referring to Anglo-Saxons. I've never thought about Anglo-Saxons being a pejorative. Anyway, he suggested that the expression, this is Liam, the expression Anglo-Saxon was another way of describing white supremacy. What absolute rubbish. Totally insane. We know what Pauline stands for. It's up to us to determine to what extent we agree. I don't know what's frightening Liberal and Labour. They just... I think that they've figured out the best way to try and handle her is to destroy her and use the media to help. But you know, you guys, you've been trying to do that for 30 years and it hasn't worked out too well. I don't think the Court of Public Opinion are going to allow you to get away with that anyway. We will make up our own minds. Thank you. The federal government has an in-depth, I mentioned it on Tuesday, an in-depth, lengthy report on Islamophobia. They've had it for 9 months, by the way. In Australia, we somehow have to differentiate between Islamic fundamentalism and radicalism and the wonderful peace-loving Muslims we have in the community. Now, I can understand the government being under intense pressure, lots of lobbying, but at the end of the day, I don't see ASIO treating any other ethnic or religious group with the same caution. The terrorist threat is, as I understand it, at probable. Probable, which is one step back from certain. My question is, from where will it come? Probably. If it's probable, where is it going to come from? Probably. Based on world experience, one can understand that the Islamic world is of particular interest to ASIO. You do not see the Italian community, the French, the Indian, the Chinese, the Scandinavian, the Czechoslovakian, the Greek, any community. There's a record, there's a history that goes back centuries. My earliest awareness of Islam was back in 1972. I was on the air at 2GB, which was a very, very good news talk station. We got the news, we got it to air very quickly. It was our stock in trade. 1972, when the Israeli athletes and coaches were massacred at the Munich airport. Do you remember? Then in 1977, by that time I was here in Adelaide, I found myself personally involved in a terrorist attack. Speaking on live radio to Abdul, a Muslim leader who had attacked the Brunei Brith building in Washington, D.C., killed several people on entry, and held 149 hostages for 3 days. As I said to you the other day, we rang and scored an interview of a lifetime. Now, I understand that Abdul is still in jail. He is a self-confessed murderous terrorist, driven by his hatred of Jews, who believed that he was only obeying Allah and the Quran. He had done nothing wrong. That's what he told me. He had done nothing wrong. And you know what? Nothing's changed. Look it up if you like. You can Google it, because I did that the other day because I couldn't remember all of the details, and I haven't told you all of the details. But if you Google Muslim siege in Washington in 1977, it was March 9, 1977. A dozen Hanafi Muslims led by Hamas Abdul Khalis, the bloke I spoke to, launched a coordinated 3-day siege in Washington. That was 50 years ago. Golly, 50 years ago. In thousands of years, I don't think much has changed. Well, while there's life, there's hope. Building costs have shot up 50% in the last 5 years, according to the Master Builders Association. Corruption is so rife within the building industry it could destroy it. The head of the Master Builders Association has been threatened with death because she's arguing. You know what she's arguing for? Honesty and transparency. There should be the Australian Building Construction Commission, the old BCC, the ABCC, the Australian Building Construction Commission. That should be back in place. The reason that this federal government will not do this is that they are in the hands, the pocket of the CFMEU. That's the truth. How anyone can vote for a party that is so compromised in its judgment is beyond me. If all the changes, this is interesting. You may have seen it. If you have, I'm sorry to repeat it, but it's worth repeating. If all the changes in the budget, they tell us were designed to help young people, young Australian families into homes more cheaply and more easily, right? Would somebody like to explain to me why News.com has pointed out, most eloquently, the federal government is placing ads overseas promoting the 5% deposit and the ease of entry into the housing market? The ads are in Arabic and Chinese. What's going on here? I think that's bizarre. Does anyone know? Or maybe no one cares. I don't know. It's a terrible thing in this wonderful country. It's getting harder and harder to get anything done. Rules and regulations and roadblocks. An average of 8 to 10 years to get a fairly insignificant approval of something. I'm talking about nation building. Too much bureaucracy. And one area where this becomes very important and obvious will be in the rapid creation of the AI industry. Capital And in this case, intelligence is very portable. Capital is as well. It can go anywhere, and it won't come to a country like Australia if it is just too hard. Too many countries out there competing for the big three AI companies. They can afford to go anywhere they like. Here is a wild, erratic thought. Has anything the government ever done come out on budget or near budget, or dare I say under budget? Anything? Anything. I googled it and I can't find a thing. Any single project ever come out on budget? I'll give you an example here, a recent one, current one, the North Sydney swimming pool. It reopens soon. The budget was $20 million to restore it. This venerable sporting venue, $120 million later, all done, all fixed, all finished. How could anyone in God's name spend $120 million on a swimming pool? How could that happen? Where are the guardrails? Where are the guidelines? People just can't go over budget like that, can they? Then we have the Snowy Mountains. Snowy 2.0. That was $2 billion. And very well thought of. That went to 12, then 20 billion. The latest estimate is closer to $50 billion. What's the point of estimates and quotes and budgets? Here's the question. Why does public housing or social housing cost so much more to build than private housing? And why is 50% of the cost of building a new house really taken up by government charges and taxes? Why, when the government goes out into Central Australia to build houses for Aboriginals, it is 150% more than comparable housing elsewhere to build? Is distance that much of a problem? Aboriginals lived happily, we are told, for 60,000 years without such things as housing. Everyone deserves a house to live in. But don't get the government involved. I think it could be that wherever government gets involved, the prices just go through the roof. Just thinking. I got to stop thinking. He's back with... he's been thinking too. He's back with more interesting and perhaps strange ideas. If you haven't heard, if you don't get the Financial Review, you mightn't have seen it. Former Prime Minister and Treasurer, architect of the fringe benefits tax, that put a lot of people out of work. The capital gains tax, negative gearing, which Hawke got rid of, and then they had to bring it back 18 months later. Paul Keating, I'm speaking of Paul Keating. His newest idea is to merge the massive, sprawling $4.5 trillion superannuation industry with the social security system. According to the Australian Financial Review, he told the government to integrate its social security system with the private retirement savings industry. Interesting. Very interesting. This would result in the single biggest shake-up in the aged pension in decades. Aware Super Chief Executive D.M. Stewart told the paper that a growing number of retired Australians feared that they would run out of money because of the ever-increasing cost of living. Anthony Albanese, thank you. More than 1 million Australians intend to retire over the next decade, which will put growing pressure on super funds as they approach a point where more cash is being withdrawn from the system than has been contributed by members. Whoops. Look, Paul, I tell you, if it's good for workers, I'm all for it. But if it's Paul Keating trying to boost the already huge union-run industry super funds, I would worry. if you know what I mean. Oh, just quickly, Friday, tomorrow, legendary Adelaide journalist Rex Jury will be on the show, Professor Plimer, Dr. John Bruni, Eric Beecher. Eric Beecher's written a book. It's a very interesting book. It's called The Men Who Killed the News. The Men Who Killed the News. Boy, oh boy. All right, happy birthday. That's all on tomorrow's show. JeremyCordeaux.com, live streaming around the dining room table. Telephone number 0491 65 68 60, 9 to 12. July the 23rd today, 24th tomorrow, 23rd today, 1904, ice cream. The ice cream cone was created during the St. Louis World Fair. The first cone, reputedly, made by Charles E. Menches, M-E-N-C-H-E-S. Not quite Munches, but Menches, 1904, July 23. William Austin Burt patents the American, the first typographer, or you could say typographer, which of course was what they called the typewriter. This, well, hang on, this is probably about the same age.
It would be, yeah.
No. This is...
That's 1927.
Yes, an old royal. I would have thought it could be about 1940, 50 or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's what they called a typewriter, a typographer. Bert Newton, Australian radio, television and stage personality. Good morning, Australia. Logie Award-winning ceremonies, 2020, 2021, born Fitzroy, Victoria. He died 2021.
I love the boy.
He was a good trooper.
He's a great man.
Very versatile guy. Bert Newton. 1938 he was born. Britain's Prince Andrew, 26, marries Sarah Ferguson.
That was an error.
26 she was, he was 26. Made in heaven. Well, we don't know where it was consummated, but the ceremony was Westminster Abbey in London, England. I mean, the Queen must have got so tired of all these, marrying these kids, giving them fantastic weddings and coaches and horses and the guards.
All of the above.
Oh, must have cost her a fortune.
Yep.
Anyway, American dancer, actor and director Gene Kelly. I spoke to him once. I had him on the show on 5DN years ago. He suffers a mild stroke on this day in 1994. Nice bloke, Gene Kelly. Haile Selassie, Emperor of Ethiopia, 1930 to 74. That was a long reign. He was born on this day in 1892. His rule came to an end in 1974 when he was overthrown by the Derg, the D-E-R-G, a Marxist, Leninist, Islamist military junta that eventually assassinated him in 1975. Yeah. English speed ace Donald Campbell drives Bluebird K7 to a new water speed record in English Lakes District. First boat passed 2,000 miles per hour, 202.32 miles per hour. 1955 was the year.
Lake Windermere.
Yeah, okay. Lake Windermere. Peter Twiss, British test pilot, breaking the world airspeed record and being the first person to exceed 1,000 miles per hour in flight. Born in Linfield, Sussex, he died in 2011, but he was born this day in 1921. So he had a long life. He obviously survived his adventures. Francis Drake departs San Francisco to cross the Pacific, 1579. Ulysses S. Grant, 18th U.S. President, 1869 to 1877. The Union General dies of esophageal cancer at Mount McGregory, New York, aged just 63. 1885 was the year. Have I got time for a few more? Okay. U.S. Vice President Richard Nixon begins his visit to the USSR. That was in 1959. 1973, US President Richard Nixon, same day, refuses to release Watergate tapes of conversations in the White House relevant to the Watergate investigation. I'll bet he did. Boris Johnson is chosen the new British Prime Minister by the ruling Conservative Party to replace Theresa May, 2019. I think, what did I hear the other day? They've had 7 Prime Ministers in 10 years. Amy Winehouse, British singer, songwriter, Stronger Than Me, Rehab, which was a very appropriate song for her to sing, dies of alcohol poisoning at 27. And the year was 2011. Yeah, a lot of them seem to die at 27. Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin.
Yes.
Many of them. Michael Hutchins.
Yeah.
I said Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, no, who was the other one who was the...
27 and 5.
I'll remember you said that.
We've got there.
Montgomery Clift, American actor from Here to Eternity, Judgment at Nuremberg, dies of a heart attack at 45. It was 1966. Reginald, better known as Leo McKern, Australian actor, Blue Lagoon, Help, The Mouse That Roared, which was, I think... Well, I don't know. No, I think Peter Sellers' first movie was the Running, Jumping, Standing Still picture. And The Mouse That Roared was probably his funniest.
That's true.
I loved that. It was a great movie.
It was a model for North Korea.
Yeah. Declare war on the United States and then quickly surrender, and then you get aid for the rest of your life. Lots of money. And Rumpole of the Old Bailey, we can't forget that. He dies of health complications at 82. 2002 was the year. One more. David Essex, English rock vocalist, rock-on actor. That'll be the day. Born 1947. Thank you so much for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate your comments and your support. And I hope you might join us around the dining room table tomorrow, where we will behave badly. Well, we'll broadcast wonderfully well, but we'll behave badly.
Last Friday was an absolute top show.
We had hoot. We had a hoot. Yes, we'll have lamingtons and red wine and tea and coffee and anything you want.
Newsmen. Famous newsmen.
The famous newsmen. Yes, that was interesting, wasn't it? We put all those guys together, and you couldn't stop them talking. I didn't have to do a thing. Just sat there. It was good fun.
Almost was going to leave the room.
I was going to hand the microphone over to. It was a question of who was going to sit in the top.
No one stepped forward.
No one wanted to take the chair.
Could keep up with you, Jeremy.
No. See you tomorrow. Thank you very much for being with us. Believe in yourself, and thank you for viewing the Court of Public Opinion.